What's going on, everybody? Ochoa here from SB Nation's bloggingtheboys.com. Hope all is well over here. We hope you're happy, safe, healthy, and that you're pumped because the Dallas Cowboys are through with 10 practices out in Oxnard, California. Training camp in full swing. We are actually a week away from the Dallas Cowboys playing a game because today is Saturday, August 6, 2022. So that means 1 week from today, the Cowboys will be playing against the Denver Broncos. We'll have lots of coverage available for you here on the Blogging the Boys YouTube channel, so please do subscribe. We have lots of stuff coming out all the time here on the channel, live shows, recorded videos. We're going to have Madden simulations in a few weeks once the regular season starts up, so we don't want you to miss any of it. We're enjoying Cowboys being back, or the Cowboys being back, and enjoying, talking with you, discussing with you. So we have another practice to talk about. We have a lot to get to. We have some kicker issues. We have some defensive highlights, some offensive highlights. The world of soccer or football, reared its head on the practice field out in Oxnard, California. So without further ado, let's go ahead and begin. First things first, though, because we're all obviously hyper aware whenever players are out or absent or injured. It's been a hectic 10 practices for the Dallas Cowboys in that sense. Well, with players getting hurt and the new players being added, Kevontae Turpin and Anthony Barr, obviously the newbies. But Jabril Cox was back on the practice field for the Dallas Cowboys, and pay attention to his right knee. He is wearing a knee brace on the right knee. The Dallas Morning News' Michael Gehlken pointed this out, but he was back, which is very good to see.
There it is right there. It's real good. I like it. Here we go. Next up.
Now, as you saw, wearing that right knee brace, and again, Michael Gehlken of the Dallas Morning News pointed out that he was not wearing that when training camp first began. I don't think that's any cause for concern. I don't think we should be panicked by any means. It's just the Cowboys have said, Mike McCarthy has said at every turn that they are going to be very cautious, very patient with Jabril Cox, obviously coming back from the torn ACL. So, rooting for him to just get right. That's what matters most. Anthony Barr comes in and provides a higher level of depth for the Cowboys at the linebacker position, but the more the merrier, and Jabril Cox is obviously a player we're very excited about here in his second season. So, patience is a virtue. But let's move on. This was a bit of a fun thing. I thought before we get into some more discussion, we're actually about to talk kickers, but, kind of on the subject of that. At the beginning of practice, Cowboys were working with a soccer ball. No, seriously. Cowboys working with a soccer ball to work on kind of just ball control, wrapping things up, etc. We've seen some weird things in the past out in Oxnard during Cowboys camp. If you recall, Cowboys tight ends used to dunk their head in water and wear trash bags or Walmart bags or whatever over their head. But a soccer ball showing up at a football practice. Oh, whoops. How did that get there? Whoops. Oh, man. Glory, Man United, baby. Welcome back, Premier League. I hope you love soccer as much as I do. It's great to have. It's starting to feel like fall. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's, what the weather's like where you are, but it's a little bit more rainy, at least around me. The Premier League's back. We have football back, and we did have a football game. The preseason's about to be here. Still a little bit summery as far as the weather, but starting to feel like fall, which is very cool. On the subject of this, Calvin Watkins of the Dallas Morning News noted the other part of that drill that was not seen was stopping the ball from going into the end zone. So the player sets his feet and then keeps the ball in play. I don't know if John Fossil's been playing a lot of Mario Strikers lately, or maybe he's into the Premier League, who knows. But as long as the Cowboys aren't practicing penalties, that's okay. But let's move on. Cowboys kicker competition. Lareem Hairulahu started off. This is the kicking portion that takes place before the mojo moments and all that. We do have a video to get to there, but this is before all that, okay? Lareem Hairulahu, who is the leader, I would suppose, for the Cowboys kicking competition, was 7 of 9. He made 6 of his final 7, as Michael Gehlken points out here. Jonathan Garibay, the undrafted free agent who the Cowboys kind of gave this job to. Remember, they did not bring Lareem Hairulahu back until right before training camp started. They were, effectively handed this job to Jonathan Garibay. Went 4 of 9. He missed 3 of his final 4, the last of which was this one from 49. This one is the one that I'm about to show you, and it is not very good. We do not like this. Kicker is a huge issue for the Dallas Cowboys. And I put the word huge in all caps. Maybe you feel like Lareem Hairulahu is the answer. He did play one game for the Cowboys last year, attempted 5 extra points against the Atlanta Falcons, made all 5 of them, didn't attempt any field goals in that game. The Cowboys only had him on the roster for that game because Greg Zuerlein was on the COVID list at the time. So I suppose I feel somewhat okay, and maybe you feel somewhat okay because of his presence on the roster. And look, this is such a, we all love the Cowboys. We all love football, and we all love all of the players on the Cowboys. We want to see all of them succeed, right? Like in a perfect world, we would have the best quarterback and running back and wide receiver and tight end. Everybody on the Cowboys would be the best player in the NFL at their position. And so nobody's taking any joy or enjoying the fact that, any player is struggling, right? But at this point, it's not just bad. I mean, this is really bad. And so I know that there have been no preseason games for the Cowboys, and maybe the Cowboys do want to see how that goes. And I mentioned this in a past video, but it's worth mentioning that their first preseason game is in Denver, so you don't exactly get the same evaluation from a kicking standpoint because of the altitude. I'm not trying to read into anything, but you have to look at every sort of sector of this now, right? Kicker was a huge problem for the Dallas Cowboys last year. It's been a problem, for the last 4 years, right? Since 2018, when the Cowboys correctly moved on from Dan Bailey, where they don't get enough credit for that decision, correctly moved on from Dan Bailey. Brett Maher was all right, but then, kind of struggle bus up and down. And then, Greg Zuerlein, John Fossil was in love, and that was a struggle. Greg Zuerlein had the watermelon kick, and that made everybody, kind of endeared to him. But it has been a constant issue. The Dallas Cowboys played 9 games. That's 9 games, all right? 9 games last year that were decided by 1 possession. This is the NFL. The margin for error is so slim. You cannot afford to take chances with this. So maybe you believe in Lareem Hairulahu, but you cannot tell me that you believe that Jonathan Garibay is bringing anything noteworthy to this competition anymore. I hate to say it that way, but this was the end of a mojo moment. All right, we're gonna get to the first mojo moment, which Jabril Cox had a tip drill pick 6 on, not to spoil it for you, but I'm sure you saw. But this was the end of a different mojo moment. Jonathan Garibay set up for extra point and another miss. And before I play it, this is not just a miss. I tweeted this out. This is a miss, like capital miss. This is not just, oh man, it bounced off the upright, went right, went left. This is short. I know there's wind in Oxnard, California, but this just cannot be happening. How do you feel if, the Cowboys bring officials out like every NFL team, right, to kind of, get in the rhythm? That must be like really awkward. I was thinking about this. If you're the official who's out working Cowboys camp, it's not, you're not in a game, but you're dressed up, you're doing the whole thing, and everyone knows what's going on here. You're watching all these kicks miss, and you just gotta go through the formal, like the actual literal process. Last thing, and then we'll move on, because what more can you say at this point? At the end of practice, the Cowboys setting up for another opportunity for Jonathan Garibay, and Dak Prescott, kudos to him, is hyping the crowd up, because Mike McCarthy, I actually love this about Mike, is that he's trying to, as much as he can, create the environment that is going to be around the Cowboys during NFL games, right? He has, we've seen different teams, they put like music on when they're going to go to loud venues or whatever, but McCarthy has the Sunday Night Football song, for the mojo moments. He tries to make it feel big. He tries to have the crowd going, and Dak is leaning into that. I love all that. So Dak Prescott, to set the stage here, is getting the crowd all hyped up for Jonathan Garibay to have another attempt at this. It just doesn't go well. No bueno whatsoever. You cannot, that can't be good. But anyway, let's move on. Cowboys have a kicker issue. Big surprise there. Defensive highlights. Let's talk about the Dallas Cowboys defense. Clearly won the day, I thought, just kind of based on everything that happened. I mentioned the tip drill pick 6. This actually Saturday was an awesome day. The Dallas Cowboys streamed part of practice. To be kind of generous with that, Inside Training Camp Live, their phenomenal show, all the crew that does such a great job for the mothership, working hard, giving us lots of stuff to watch. And this actually happened, on the show live, and then obviously was put out and things like that. Jabril Cox had a tip drill. This was the very first mojo moment of the day, and Jabril Cox comes out with the tip drill pick 6, and having himself a pretty nice camp.
Jalen Tolbert out there, Trayvon Diggs on defense, and it's Dak with a 3-step drop, avoids the pressure off the edge. Almost intercepted by Leighton Vander Esch, but it's Jayron Kearse who ends up with the interception. He's going to take it all the way back.
It's a pick six.
What about the defense playing strong? It was Vander Esch who got his first hand on it, and then it tipped around to Kearse.
This goes back to the first segment that we had when these guys were doing the distraction drills, and I mentioned how coaches taking all the guys, no matter offense or defense, if you have opportunity to get your hand on the ball, they want you to be used to it. They want them to be comfortable. They don't want this to be an odd thing that they come to their hands and like, what the heck is this? Vander Esch got his hands on the ball, should have picked it, got tipped twice, ended up in Jayron Kearse's hands. That's a pick six, baby. But what
they're also talking about.
That's right. That's right. You know, when you look at this Cowboys defense, shout out to Leighton Vander Esch. I called it a tip drill, has the tip. That's the whole point of the tip drill. This Cowboys defense is littered with playmakers, right? And we talk about how regression is likely coming, and that's true. You know, you can talk, multiple things can be true. It can be true that the Cowboys have a lot of playmakers. It can be true that the Cowboys have a lot of talent. It can be true that the Cowboys are going to continue to grow and develop, and it can also be true that they're likely going to regress to the mean, or at least regress to some degree as far as the volume of takeaways, the volume of sacks, the volume of interceptions, because what they did last year was such an outlier as far as NFL history is concerned. Now, they could be the exception to that rule, and they could even have more takeaways this year. We just don't know how it's going to shake out. But there's just a number of playmakers, and we kind of tend to focus on Micah Parsons and Trayvon Diggs, obviously. Leighton Vander Esch has gotten a lot of attention in the past. But Jayron Kearse, you know, I'm somebody who has taken, took a little bit longer than I think a lot of people to really buy in. And it's just, I've been scarred, like a lot of you, by the Cowboys safeties over the last few years. And I think Jayron Kearse deserves an enormous amount of credit, because it would have been very easy to rest on his laurels after last season and to say, you know what, I was very productive. I was using this unique way. I'm going to try to cash out. The Carolina Panthers reportedly had some interest in him. But Jayron Kearse has seemingly upped his game. And I know it's just camp. I know we're just 10 practices in. I know we got to see it throughout the regular season. But all signs are pointing to Jayron Kearse being for real. I think if we talk about the most important thing that the Cowboys did over the offseason, I don't know where I rank them bringing back Jayron Kearse on a 2-year deal, by the way, but it is very close to the top. I mean, he is somebody who is dramatically changing the way this defense and specifically the secondary can operate. So shout out to him. I mentioned Micah Parsons. I mean, at a certain point, it's difficult to say new words about him. I mean, he is just incredible. Michael Gehlken of the Dallas Morning News put together this highlight package, 3 different plays where you can see Micah's athleticism on full display in a couple of different ways.
Go Zeke! Get out of here! Drag him out!
He can run. He can cover. He's the fastest kid alive, Micah Parsons, forever. But Micah Parsons not the only person making plays. Like I said, we talked about Jayron Kearse. Trayvon Diggs had some nice moments. Leighton Vander Esch had the tip drill, etc. But Sam Williams starting to get into the fold. We're starting to see some Sam Williams action, which there are a lot of ifs. We've talked about that for a long time. There are so many ifs surrounding the 2022 Dallas Cowboys, but one of the biggest is Sam Williams. And if he can hit, then, we're talking about pretty solid top of the draft. All right, let's move now to the offensive side of the ball. Like I said, the defense kind of won the day. That's still, not to be shocked by or something that we shouldn't be shocked by. Mike McCarthy, for what it's worth, actually said early on Saturday that the defense is a little bit ahead of the offense. It's just kind of general NFL training camp protocol, so nothing surprising there. Offensive highlights. All right. Dak Prescott didn't have a great day a few practices ago. That's all right. We've been kind of harping on this wide receiver thing. You got to go sign somebody. Did a video on Friday that included CeeDee Lamb on the fan talking about Odell Beckham Jr. We have lots of questions about this offense, but they did have some nice moments, and there are some nice things to talk about. I'm going to play this one video here. This is a Dak Prescott touchdown run, but there's something that happened before that I think we need to talk about in just a moment.
Run it! Run it!
So first of all, want to see that more. Dak, run a lot. Don't be afraid. Let's do it. Let's party. Let's get on the ground. Let's move and let's groove. But second of all, while that was the touchdown, everybody's talking about Dak Prescott running, blah blah blah, etc. But what happened before that is important. Now there weren't a lot of clips of this, but shout out to Skywalker. Steele does a great job covering the Cowboys in general. Go subscribe to the AtoZ Sports YouTube channel. Sky does such a great job hosting the show. All sorts of creative graphics and whatnot. One of the best people in Dallas Cowboys YouTube land. So many great Dallas Cowboys YouTubers, and Skywalker. Certainly chief among them. But before the touchdown run, Dak Prescott hooked up with Dennis Houston on back-to-back catches. Again, you can see Sky's tweet here. And I thought this was such a great point that Dak clearly trusts Houston. I think that's the right word, because we're seeing he's finding him, he's connecting with him, but that word trust. And, it's important because right now there aren't a lot of players out there who Dak Prescott knows. It's been said many different times how the only receivers on the Cowboys who have registered NFL catches are Dak Prescott. Dak does have an NFL catch. He has a touchdown catch, actually. But CeeDee Lamb and Noah Brown. So there is a lot of natural, not distrust, but trust to be learned, trust to be gained. There's a lot of newness here, right? And so it is very clear and obvious 10 practices in that Dennis Houston has the trust of Dak Prescott. And so when we talk about players likely to make this roster, when we talk about receivers likely to make this roster, if you recall, people used to want the Cowboys to go out and find a way to get Fred Ross on their team because of his relationship with Dak Prescott back in Mississippi State. I've said this for years. Whatever Dak Prescott likes, he likes. A long time ago, Dak did a video or a hit, I think it was with DallasCowboys.com, some social thing where he said he likes spaghetti with ranch dressing. That sounds disgusting to me. But you know what? If Dak Prescott likes it, spaghetti with ranch for dinner. That's what we're all eating because QB1 likes it, and we need to do the things that QB1 likes. So if he likes Dennis Houston, that is something that we have to pay attention to. But he also obviously likes a number of different players. We saw the touchdown run right there. 3 different clips here. First up, Simi Fehoko. Nice to see. I mean, this isn't everything involving Dak, but just nice to see the development of different wide receivers. There's a lot potentially riding on Simi Fehoko, especially with the James Washington injury. The Cowboys have said they like their young guys. They want to see them develop. Simi is obviously a second-year player. If he can come along, that helps the group as a whole. There's an athlete in there. I wouldn't even say in there. It's not like he's lurking. Simi Fehoko is an athlete. That's why we have loved him from the moment the Cowboys drafted him a year ago coming out of Stanford. I say it all the time on our videos here that athletically, entering the draft, he comped to DK Metcalf. There is an elite athlete right there who the Dallas Cowboys, if they find a way to use him, are on the verge of untapping. But while we're talking wide receivers, I mean, we've mentioned Dennis Houston, we mentioned Simi Fehoko. Noah Brown is having quite the training camp. Now, a year ago, actually, if you go back, maybe you do this kind of thing. I like to do this kind of thing with different stuff. A year ago, I did not think Noah Brown would make the Cowboys roster. I thought that Simi Fehoko would actually lead to his outing. I thought that Simi Fehoko meant the end of Noah Brown, but he had a great camp last year. He fought, he scratched, he clawed, he made the roster. He has always kind of managed to do that. He's the longest tenured wide receiver on the Dallas Cowboys roster, which is amazing to truly and totally think about, part of that 2017 draft class. And so Noah Brown, always finding a way to hang out, always finding a way to stay on this roster, had an incredible catch on Saturday, and again, continues a really tremendous training camp overall. Good for you, Noah. Good for you. Always finding a way to be involved. Always finding a way to, make sure that, you're part of the mix. We need that. We would love to see that happen. I would love to see Noah Brown be a part of this offense. There's no question that there is room for opportunity there. You can only devote so much attention to, CeeDee Lamb and Jalen Tolbert, I suppose. But speaking of Jalen Tolbert, had a nice touchdown near the end of practice, I thought. We've seen, obviously, a lot of Jalen Tolbert, but still, it just provides a different level of butterflies when Jalen Tolbert gets in the mix, just because he's new, he's a third-round pick, he's a rookie, et cetera, et cetera. Right on. So, like I said, we have a game a week from today. The Dallas Cowboys visiting the Denver Broncos. I know I put visiting in quotes, like they're going to Denver, but it's a preseason game, so we know that energy is around it, whatever. All in all, I think we're in a good place. I think we have understandable questions about the Dallas Cowboys. I think we have understandable concerns, and if they address them, then I think we can feel a lot better about them moving forward. But 10 practices in, starting to feel pretty real. My name is RJ Ochoa. You can follow me on Twitter or Instagram at RJ Ochoa, on TikTok at RJ.Ochoa, or you can shoot me an email, rj.ochoa@sbnation.com. You can always hit me up in the comment section here on the YouTube channel. Please do subscribe here to the Blog on the Boys YouTube channel. We have videos recapping every Dallas Cowboys practice, every big Dallas Cowboys thing. We make sure, whatever, that you are always fed with the Dallas Cowboys content that you need. So, yeah, let's do it again. I hope you have a great weekend. Whatever you're eating, whatever you're watching, whatever you're doing, I hope it's a great time. But yeah, 10 practices in. Training camp starting to fly by soon enough. The regular season will be here. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. We'll see you next time, and we love you all.